At 11:40 that night, Marisol Reyes would find something on a screen that no one else in the building had noticed. By 9 the next morning, it would be the only thing standing between a company and its future. The offices of Vantage Systems were empty by the time she pushed her cart through the glass doors on the 14th floor, the way they were empty every night at this hour. Rows of dark monitors, half-finished coffee cups, the particular quiet of a place built for 40 people that currently held one. Marisol had been cleaning this floor for 3 years, moving between desks with the practiced efficiency of someone who had learned, a long time ago, how to be thorough without being seen. She was 54, silver threading through dark hair she kept pinned back, dressed in the plain gray uniform of the contract cleaning company that served half the buildings on the block. She wiped down keyboards. She emptied bins. She had long since stopped reading what was on the screen she cleaned around until the night she couldn't stop herself. It was the CTO's desk, the corner office with the glass walls, 3 monitors still glowing because he'd left in a hurry and never powered them down. Marisol reached to dim the display and her eyes caught, almost against her will, on a wall of code scrolling across the center screen. A testing log, red error text repeating in a pattern she recognized before she'd even decided to look. She stood there a moment longer than she meant to, cloth still in her hand. Something old and familiar stirring in a part of her mind she hadn't visited in a long time. Marisol had once been 2 semesters from a computer engineering degree. That fact lived in almost no one's knowledge of her now, not her co-workers, not her supervisor, not the tenants of the building who walked past her cart every evening without a second glance. 26 years earlier, in her 3rd year of university, her younger brother had been diagnosed with an illness that required care no hospital in their town could fully provide, and she was the only family member with steady enough hands and free enough hours to become his full-time caretaker. She withdrew from her program in a single afternoon, packed 2 boxes from her dormitory, and never went back. She did not regret the decision. She would say that plainly if anyone ever asked her, which no one had in years, but she had never stopped reading. In scraps of time between shifts, whatever technical material she could find, the way some people keep a language alive by talking to themselves in it. She had never told anyone at Vantage Systems any of this. It hadn't come up, and there had never seemed to be a version of the conversation where it would land as anything other than a curiosity, a strange fact about the cleaning woman to mention once and forget. Her co-workers knew she was quiet and thorough and always finished her section early enough to help with the others. Her supervisor knew she had never once called in late. None of them knew that she still, most nights before bed, read technical forms on her phone the way other people read novels, following arguments about algorithms and system architecture in a language she had never stopped speaking, even after the world stopped asking her to. She looked at the error text a moment longer, then reached out and did the only thing that felt natural. She wrote the correction on a sticky note, in small, careful handwriting, and left it folded beside the keyboard. She told herself it was nothing. She finished her shift and went home to the small apartment she shared with her brother, checked that his medication was set out for the morning the way it always was, and went to sleep without giving the note another thought. Before we continue, if you believe that intelligence has no job title and grace wears no uniform, please like this video, subscribe to Kindness Tales, and share this with someone who needs to believe in people again today. Blake Kessler arrived at 6:40 the next morning, already furious. He was 33, Vantage Systems co-founder and chief technology officer, dressed in the kind of expensive casualness that signals its own importance, and he had spent the last 6 hours of the previous night convinced his company's entire future was collapsing. In 4 hours, Vantage's Series C investors, 11 of them, controlling collectively over $40 million in potential funding, would arrive for a live product demonstration that was supposed to prove the platform could scale. Instead, the demo build had been crashing intermittently since midnight, a bug no one on his overnight engineering team had been able to isolate, buried somewhere in a rewritten authentication module that had seemed 12 hours earlier, like a minor patch. He swept a stack of files off his desk in frustration, and his hand knocked the sticky note to the floor. He almost didn't pick it up. When he did, he read it twice before it registered as anything other than nonsense. A precise, handwritten description of a null pointer condition in the session token handler, with a two-line correction written beneath it in the exact syntax his engineers used, circled twice. "Who wrote this?" he said aloud to an empty office. His head of engineering, arriving 20 minutes later hollow-eyed from an all-nighter, stared at the note for a long moment before saying the sentence that would define the rest of Blake's morning. "This is it. This is the fix. Who found this?" No one on the engineering team claimed it. Security footage from the corner office showed only one person entering after 8 the previous evening. A cleaning cart, and the woman pushing it. Blake found Marisol on the 9th floor an hour later, restocking a supply closet, and he approached her with the particular disbelief of a man about to ask a question he already suspects will upend something he'd assumed was fixed and settled about the world. "Did you leave a note on my desk last night?" he asked. "About the code?" Marisol straightened, cloth still in her hand. For a moment she considered denying it. Old instinct, the reflex of someone who had spent years learning that visibility rarely worked in her favor. Then she simply said, "Yes. There was an error in your session handler. Line was throwing a null reference under load. I wrote the fix." Blake stared at her. "You read code?" "I studied it," she said. "A long time ago. I didn't finish." He asked her to come upstairs. She told him she had a floor left to clean. He said the floor could wait, in the corner office. With 3 monitors glowing and $40 million of investor attention 4 hours away, Marisol Reyes sat down at a desk that was not hers and began explaining, calmly and precisely, exactly what she had seen the night before. Not just the immediate error, but a second, subtler timing issue. 2 functions downstream that she suspected would resurface under the exact kind of concurrent load a live demo would generate. She was right. It took the engineering team another 90 minutes to fully implement what she had diagnosed in the time it took to clean one desk. The demo ran flawlessly at 10 o'clock. The investors signed. Blake Kessler stood in the back of the conference room afterward, replaying uncomfortably every time he'd walked past a cleaning cart without a glance, every assumption he hadn't known he was making about who belonged in which rooms of his own building. He found her again that afternoon, this time not to ask a question but to make an offer. Vantage Systems, he told her, needed someone who understood systems the way she clearly did, and he was prepared to sponsor whatever it took: tuition to finish her degree, a paid technical apprenticeship on his engineering team while she completed it, a schedule built around whatever she still needed to manage at home. Marisol listened without interrupting, the way she listened to everything, fully and without performance. "I have a brother," she said finally. "He's stable now, but there are still mornings." "Then we build around your mornings," Blake said. "I'm not offering you charity. I watched what you did with a sticky note in 20 minutes. I'd be a fool not to want that on my team permanently." She started 8 weeks later, in a junior technical role that within a year became a mid-level one, finishing her degree in night classes the company paid for and scheduled around, exactly as promised. She kept, for a long time, a version of that habit that had started it all, walking the floor after most people had gone home, though now it was to review code rather than empty bins, and more than once a junior engineer found a precise, handwritten note left beside their keyboard the next morning, the same small, careful handwriting, still catching what everyone else had missed. 2 years later, Marisol led the technical review for a system migration that touched every product Vantage Systems shipped, the kind of project new hires were told, half-joking, to be afraid of. She was not afraid of it. She had by then finished the degree she'd once folded into 2 boxes and left behind, walking across a stage in a cap and gown with her brother in the 3rd row, steady enough now to make the trip himself, applauding louder than anyone else in the auditorium. Blake Kessler tells the story now, when he tells it at all, without the parts that flatter him. He starts with the part where he almost threw the note away. If this story moved you, please like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Kindness Tales for more stories of courage, grace, and the small human moments that change everything. And tell us in the comments, has someone in your life ever been underestimated for the work they do when they were capable of so much more?